I'm hoping to turn this into a running bike today. This carburetor is not the stock one. The stock one does not say VMAX. However, this looks just like a stock carburetor, so it's probably a clone. It only runs on the bike if the choke is 100% on. I've removed the choke cable from this one, taken the screws off, and I'm removing the carb. I am doing that to replace it with this one because I can't get another carb without spending lots and lots of money. So I'm going to try a NIBBI PE22 as a replacement. I'm not sure if this jetting is close or not. This one also has a choke that is not cable operated. I don't know if I will be able to reach under the gas tank to get to it to turn it on. Anyway, this is the process to switch it out. I'm going to run the NIBBI carb with the jetting that came on it. Here's the brand new carb I'm going to put on the NSF. Is a PE22 millimeter with the flange. The jets, these are what came in the carb. That is a 32 slow jet. And I need to find out what size is the main jet, because the carb included some alternative sizes that can be used. I can't read what it says on the jet. We have a 32 pilot and a 98 main jet. Is that right? I don't know. This is a new carb, so I just want to document what we're starting with. 98 main jet and a 32 pilot. 32 pilot there. Final comment here, this little shroud goes around the jets. I had to pull it off so that I could read the size on the pilot jet. I don't see this on a lot of carbs. Some have it, some don't, but I guess this helps regulate the fuel when it's sloshing around, keep the fuel level. The jet is exposed to a little more consistent. Step one is to take the slide out of this carb because I need to get this choke cable connected to the NIBBI carb slide. The other to-do item is to take the fuel line off, put it on there. The other point is I'm going out of my way to preserve this fuel line because this is flexible. It's not one of those modern ones that hardens. So I am not gonna throw that away, and I'm not replacing the fuel line. Okay, I am currently stuck. Throttle cable. I loosened the slack, loosened it up. I removed the slide, but I can't figure out how to remove this throttle cable from this cap. And without being able to free up the throttle cable, I can't get it installed on the new cap for the new carb. Not sure how to remove this. What am I doing about this? I went to my pile of throttle cables to see what might work. So I have the amount of cable that sticks out of the end of the cap that I can't remove. But I do have a blank cable that has similar amount of stick out. The cable is a little bit longer, so, well, it's better too long than too short. This end is a little bit different. These adjusters, that's a different length of adjustment. I'm not going to be able to take as much slack out of the cable. I'll have to see if this works. But that's what I'm going to try, is a pull from my pile of extra cables. The bike, I have things ready. This seal I put onto the cable, put that in the cap. Cable is threaded through. Next step is to then put on the spring, and that's not going to hold too well. After that, I have a washer spacer that goes in the slide. We have our pieces assembled, cables now going into the slide, have the spacer to center and seat the spring, cap, etc. Lots of slack because it's not hooked up to the throttle. time to try assembly here, and then we'll set up the throttle. Okay, putting the slide in the carb here. Notice the slit that's in the side of the carb goes to the left side. And that should seat down. And then put the cap on and tighten it up. Cable's in place. Close now. Slid the cap down to help hold the cable in place. I'm hopeful that the bottom of the tank's not too in the way. This doesn't have a hard metal curve to it, so we'll see how this works. At some point, I'm going to have to replace this cable. I unfortunately do not know what it is, but I'm running a tape measure along the cable all the way back here, and it looks like it's about 33.5 inches long. Documenting that because at some point this cable will wear out or break. Hope this works. Okay, I've reassembled the cable, adjusted the slack as best I can. This is the only adjustment for slack. It runs up here around the clutch, even though the cable is a little bit longer. So far so good. I'm just concerned about where it exits the carb here, trying to keep this straight. Maybe I should tape a piece of wire to the side to help keep its shape. We'll see. I'm not sure about that because where the bottom of the tank is, I don't know how that's going to work. I want a nice smooth carb so it doesn't wear the cable. I haven't attached the back of the tank yet, but the important piece here is the throttle cable, that it doesn't touch the top of the tank. So it seems like there's some good spacing in there. Once I drop the tank, I think it'll be okay. We'll have to watch that bend on the cable though. We got the bike back together, got the carb idle speed set, started on the third kick, and then it ran. So now it's time to take it to the track and test it.
We also have a new carb on this because the motor was swapped. It's not jetted. This is literally stock jetting that came on the NIBBI carb that we put on. No changes whatsoever. It doesn't feel too bad, to be honest. I'm surprised. It's a 22 millimeter carb, so it's a little bit bigger than the stock one, which the stock one, I want to say I think probably was okay, but it was not it was a clone of the stock Kiehin carb for the spike. It wasn't working right, so I replaced it.
I rode several additional sessions out on track, getting better and better. Ultimately, there's no need to change the jetting on the carb at all. It is as good as it can possibly be right out of the box. That's good news because this is just an XR100 stock dirt bike motor. Nothing special about it. It doesn't have the airbox, but otherwise, it's just a dirt bike motor. Anyway, I'm very happy with the carb, and I'm going to continue to run it as is. Very happy with the results here.